in future, there will be the ability through vaccinations to control human beings and their thoughts. They knew it then. They know it now. The problem is, they're not just talking about the ability to do it, they were actually doing it. So don't let anybody kid you or deceive you and tell you there were some good vaccines. There never was any. It was always a fraud. All the ones that were saying they stopped polio, never stopped polio. They stopped tetanus, never did. None. And then they came up in the usual crazy way more recently to say that they now want to create vaccines against malaria. Isn't that wonderful? And then they came up with fake data, fake. That there are more malaria deaths than cancer in the world. It's not true. It's not true. These are the same people who told us that with the malaria drugs, we become immune to the malaria, and that once you have had malaria, it excites your immune system, right?
Yes, sir.
They didn't say we needed any vaccine at the time.
Yes.
All these crazy things they keep telling us. Then they move from there to another thing. Then they change it. And then they change it. Anyway, they got caught. No malaria vaccine. Dead on arrival. While they're doing that, the same people, and this is the painful part, the very same people who are constructing malaria vaccine are creating special kinds of mosquitoes. Special kinds of mosquitoes that are resistant to insecticides. So, if you don't want their vaccine, then you got vaccination in the air. Mosquitoes. Special mosquitoes to bite you and inject you with the same substance in the vaccine. So you get vaccinated by the mosquitoes. These are demons. I just told you what the plans are. They have it written. And they have so far gone out so bold to tell us. And they're distributing some of these mosquitoes in several countries. What they don't know is the power of the name of Jesus. You can create all kinds of mosquitoes as you like. They are crippled and they are de-winged. So you can pour them out from the plane, they will fall down and die. You don't understand. The wickedness of the heart. The wickedness of men. I told you the other day to be careful about some of the things you buy in the supermarkets, especially the imported ones, because sometimes you don't know where they're importing them from. Find out where they're importing them from. I've warned African nations and European, Asian nations because they've done a lot of harm to many in the Americas and Europe. And if they can harm their own people, where their factories are, what do you think they're going to do to Africa and Asia? Look at some of the terrible things they've done in the United States. Some of these companies are among the most wicked and heartless in the world. Watch this on food deception and see what's going on around you.
Type 2 diabetes, hypertension, lipid problems, cardiovascular disease, cancer, dementia.
The list of medical problems tied directly to the food we're being marketed.
I know from the Bible the masses have always been deceived.
The way we eat has changed over the last 50 years.
Deception has always been the hallmark of Satan's commerce. That's what he traffics in.
The increase in chronic illnesses among both children and adults in recent years has become a significant concern. For several decades, the public has been misled about the quality and effects of many products manufactured by large food industries. These products are marketed and advertised in the most effective ways to attract unsuspecting consumers. These are all efforts to achieve the eugenicists' agenda of world depopulation.
Are you aware that there are only 10 companies that own the entire world's food brands?
It's the same organizations that have been involved in eugenics that are still there today. They passed it to their children and their grandchildren and so on, but the organizations are still there.
Milk is an essential part of our breakfast, rich in high-quality protein and an excellent source of vitamins and minerals. Recently, fluoride has been found in many milk products consumed globally, particularly among children.
What do they need fluoride in the milk for? Why? Wickedness.
Fluoride has been linked to health concerns, including a potential increased risk of cancer and lower IQ levels observed today.
Fluoride is an extremely active chemical when it gets into our body. It can interfere with the pineal gland. It can interfere with the thyroid gland. The thyroid gland and the pineal gland are both intimately involved with brain development, mental development.
A real concern with young kids, especially with newborn infants, an inappropriate dose of fluoride in the developing brain. This may be part of the reason, for instance, of the depression of IQ that we've seen in these Chinese studies.
One of the ways that fluoride causes cancer is by damaging the DNA. And when it does so in an area that controls cell growth, we have a tumor. If it does so in another area that allows either enzymes or free radicals to be spewed into the medium, we have an invasive tumor which we call cancer. A study came out in 1984 from Japan finding that they could transform normal cells into cancer cells merely by exposing fluoride, the cells to fluoride. In 1988, Argonne National Laboratories, in a repeat of the study, found the same thing and found that not only did fluoride cause cancer, but it increased the cancer-causing ability of other chemicals. The reason being, again, because if a chemical causes cancer and fluoride inhibits your body's ability to repair the damage done, the cancer will go on.
Next time you buy a tin of milk, read the small prints. You'll find fluoride is in a lot of them. I don't want to call the brands names right now. Otherwise you think it's only those ones. There are several of them, especially some of the most common brands. Sadly,
all Blackpool primary school children in years 1 to 6 are now able to have fluoridated milk as part of the school breakfast scheme. What do they want to do? Kill them? Why fluoride milk, it says in this article? Because fluoride in milk helps to keep teeth healthy. This is such an old claim. It's free and it's of no cost to parents. Oh really? So if you're going to give kids arsenic just because it's free and it's no cost to parents, would you give it to them? And they say, oh, but it's safe to drink. Why add anything to milk? That would be my first argument. And then I would also then go on to say, why drink pasteurized or homogenized milk, standardized milk? Why not give them raw milk, which has the healthy bacteria in, if it comes from a good, proper farm?
They said they only need 500 million people on earth. And all the other billions of people should be killed. And this is no joke. They're serious. And that's why they're doing it.
Your olive oil may not be what it claims to be.
With increasing deception in the food industry, fake extra virgin olive oils have made their way into markets around the world, often fooling unsuspecting consumers.
These regulators told us that our red oil was not good, and so we should replace it with olive oil. Right? And then we started reading that olive oil is better, is healthier than the red oil. It's a farce. They deceived us.
Olive oil is full of fraud and deception. In fact, there's a chance that you've never actually tasted extra virgin olive oil, even if you think you have. A couple of years ago in southern Italy, the police were spying on an organized crime network. Their undercover footage shows these large tanker trucks passing into their compound. They started tracking these trucks with GPS and found that the trucks were loaded with oil. They were delivering this oil to markets and restaurants in Germany. They were selling it to buyers who thought that they were buying high-quality extra virgin olive oil from the best olive regions in the world. After many months of this investigation, the police finally busted into the compound, and what they found is that these criminals were importing cheap seed oil that cost them just over €1 per liter, but then they were coloring it with like chlorophyll to make it look like olive oil.
Seed oils are called polyunsaturated fatty acids. Poly meaning many, unsaturated mean a type of oil that it's very, very fragile and unstable. It comes from corn, soy, canola, things like that. They're considered one part of the ultra-processed food category, which they use industrial processing, where they're heating, adding hexane, which is a solvent that's in gasoline. And so they go through this incredible refining process where you end up with this very refined empty oil. And one of the reasons they do this is so it can sit on the shelf for a long period of time. We consume like 25 to 30% of our calories with this right here.
They contain unhealthy fats or trans fats, raising the risk of cardiovascular problems. Due to this deception, many non-olive producing countries, particularly in Africa and Asia, have been misled into overlooking their own organic palm oil in favor of consuming these harmful substances marketed as extra virgin olive oil.
So how are you going to get olive oil? Importation. And then they tell you that your red oil is dangerous to health. So what are you going to do? Abandon it. And then they find other ways of getting it out of the country. Few people will get businesses. Get what you have from your palm kernel and so on. Send them abroad, since you're not going to be looking, because you don't need it as a country. The red oil that you have here is far healthier than the other one. And this is true.
Pure honey is far more than just a sweet treat. It's a natural powerhouse, brimming with essential health benefits and nutrients. Packed with a variety of vitamins and minerals, it plays a crucial role in supporting the immune system, promoting bone health, and maintaining overall bodily functions. However, in today's marketplace, the rise of fake and adulterated honey has become a concerning reality, with many supermarket shelves now offering counterfeit versions.
A third of what's traded internationally is adulterated or completely fake.
I feel it's the biggest secret food fraud that has ever been perpetrated globally.
Globally, there is more honey being sold than the world's bees are capable of making.
Fake honey is a product that has been tampered with, mixed with substances like sugar syrup, corn syrup, or even harmful chemicals, to increase its volume or alter its appearance.
Many cheap honey brands cut their product with high fructose corn syrup to stretch their profits. Why? Because real honey takes time to produce, but dumping corn syrup into a vat and slapping a 100% pure honey label on it is way faster.
High fructose corn syrup contains approximately 55% of fructose and 45% of glucose. Consuming too much fructose increases the risk of developing what we call non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Now, this is a situation where there are literally fat droplets or fat being accumulated in the liver. So the more you increase your intake of fructose, the liver does what? It goes into a fat production cycle by a process called lipogenesis.
Fake honey's hidden components can cause headaches, nausea, digestive problems, and even more severe allergic responses. When consumed regularly, it can lead to weight gain, insulin resistance, and other metabolic issues. These can eventually contribute to the development of chronic diseases like diabetes and heart conditions.
For this reason, it's crucial to choose high-quality, pure honey from trusted sources to safeguard against these potential health risks.
Now we're digging out stuff and sharing with you. And there's a whole lot of people, well, there are not many, there are few people who don't like this. They don't like us telling you this because they are the monsters of remorseless cruelty.
Processed meats, such as bacon and sausages, also pose health risks, packed with unhealthy fats and preservatives like nitrates, contributing to colorectal cancer.
There's more cancer in the world now than ever before. Why is this happening? They're making lifetime customers of sick people.
The ham on your supermarket shelves starts out like this. Big lumps of pork meat. To add taste, a little vegetable stock. It all goes into a ham-shaped mold, and it's cooked. And the result? Perfectly pink, rounded slices. Have you grasped the basics? Well, let's rewind a little to see the detail that changes everything. To tame this fine ham, there's another very important step. You have to inject the meat. A machine with a dozen syringes injects a liquid into the lumps of pork meat. The liquid contains an essential additive. These yellow sacs contain a mixture of salt and sodium nitrite, the additive E250.
Le sel nitrité sert à assurer la conservation du jambon, à lutter contre des germes pathogènes et aussi de donner la couleur et le goût.
In fact, he's telling us that the pretty pink of our ham isn't natural at all. It's thanks to sodium nitrite. You swallow a piece of cured meat. You think you're peacefully digesting it, but what you don't know is the nitrite molecules are reacting with the meat proteins, transforming them into very dangerous substances. Nitrosamines.
Nitrosamines are known to induce damage in the large intestine. So it can induce DNA breaks, mutate cells into sort of pre-cancer cells. And that's, of course, something that you want to prevent.
For 2 weeks, this student ate 300 grams of processed meat a day, the equivalent of 8.5 sausages or 7 slices of ham.
After 15 days, we saw that the exposure to nitrosamines was considerably increased. So it was up to between 2- and 3-fold increase as compared to the levels that we measured at the start. So you see that if you have no exposure, you see that everything is intact, so the material stays together. But if you are exposed to nitrosamines that induce breakages of the DNA, you see this comet tail appearing. So you see that here the damage is quite extensive. So the more damage you have, the more likely it is that a cell like this will eventually mutate into a pre-cancer type of cell. When we isolate the cells and we only expose them for half an hour, and then you already see the breakage of these DNA strands. And so that's how fast it can happen. And that can also happen not just in the lab here, but also in an intact human body.
The sugar industry is a highly profitable sector within the global food industry, with significant power to form pressure groups that can influence the decisions of both government and non-government organizations.
The sugar industry in the U.S. demanded that Congress end funding to the WHO unless the WHO scrapped guidelines that sugar should account for no more than 10% of a healthy diet. So they became pressure groups.
I was given a brochure by one of the keynote speakers about how dentists could help manage type 2 diabetic patients, and it didn't say anything about reducing sugar. And then a second keynote speaker ranked Lipton Brisk sweet tea, which had 44 grams of sugar, as a healthy drink. And I actually chased him down and said, how can you possibly say sweet tea is healthy? And his answer to me was, there is no evidence linking sugar to chronic disease. And I was literally stunned. I had no words. Tooth decay is the #1 chronic disease in children. You know, how could you possibly say that sugar is not linked to chronic disease? So I started to wonder, had the sugar industry influenced what I was hearing at this dental conference? I typed in sugar to my local library catalog and found records to the Great Western Sugar Company. I'd never heard of the Great Western Sugar Company. Found these boxes with references to nutrition and policy. I couldn't believe that I'd found that, but I happened to be the first one to look at these confidential sugar industry documents just sitting unexplored in this collection. And this was a public relations campaign that set out to influence the Food and Drug Administration, who at the time was evaluating the safety of sucrose for the first time in the 1970s. So all of the documents I found showed how the sugar industry influenced that FDA report. Their strategy was to publish science that would be conflicting with evidence that might be linking sugar to obesity or diabetes or heart disease or tooth decay.
Along with paying scientists to write reports in its favor and masking its involvement by hiding its funding, the Sugar Association pushes back on findings it doesn't like, a strategy that's become common practice in many parts of the food industry.
How about that there are 56 names for sugar, so you don't even know what you're consuming, and here they are. And how about this? Everybody knows what a nutrition facts label is. There's a number over there in the purple. Okay, it's called the dietary value. Notice there's none for sugar, and that's on purpose because they don't want you to know how much is too much.
The presence of processed sugar in our diets, especially in ultra-processed foods, can have serious consequences.
Just like some people, even though you tell them that the processed sugar that they take in abundance will destroy their body, say, I can just take it just a little, just one more time. And maybe that one more time is just what's left, just what's sufficient to destroy your system. He was just waiting for just a little more. Because you've been having it. Your whole life has been in that direction. Just a little more for your trouble.
I specialize in diabetes. I also am an expert because I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when I was just 7 years old. So the effects of sugar have been a lifelong study for me. Now, the cause of type 1 is very different than the pandemic of type 2 today that we're hearing so much about. In type 1, the immune system attacked and killed all of my beta cells and killed them. They're gone. When I was 7. Why it did this is still not understood. But as a result, without my beta cells, I take insulin injections every single day. And I've taken over 100,000 in my lifetime. High blood sugar causes heart disease, kidney failure, strokes, gangrene, blindness, Alzheimer's, lower limb amputation, depression, violent behavior, and more. The amount of deaths caused by sugar, all of these afflictions combined, leads to more deaths than automobile accidents.
For me, without a doubt, my addiction was sugar. What I found out is that for decades, scientists have been trying to prove how addictive sugar was. But it wasn't until 2008 that they actually found out, without a doubt, sugar is chemically addictive. And not just kind of addictive, it's 8 times more addictive than cocaine. As a sugar addict, I realized that I was now going to have to completely eliminate all processed sugars from my body if I was ever going to regain control.
At the rate we are consuming sugar today, sugar is not a treat. Ladies and gentlemen, at the rate we're consuming it today, sugar has become a gradual death sentence.
So this slide over here shows the prevalence of diabetes worldwide.
These people are heartless because it's a satanic work. And Satan is heartless. You expect him to be kind? No, he's not. So you have to put pressure on those who are producing them and marketing them and distributing them by rejecting them. That is a righteous action from you. That's what you have to do. And once you are decided like that, you will have the options. You will have the alternatives, and God will give you wisdom and ideas. We have to send a strong message to the inventors of evil things. We have to.
And as declared by the man of God, Pastor Chris, we have suspended their global agenda, and it remains so until we are gone with the first flight. Many shall be purified, and made white, and tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand. Daniel 12 verse 10.
Praise God. Look at that verse one more time. Daniel 12. I want us to read it from verse 1. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people. Now remember, the angel of the Lord talking to Daniel and giving him this revelation. And there shall be a time of trouble such as never was, since there was a nation even to that same time. That's referring to the tribulation period. That's the period they want to bring forward. The Antichrist era, with the one world government, one world religion, in one world economy, which the Bible clearly describes. See, such as never was, since there was a nation even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book. Next verse. And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. And they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Did you see that? Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. Then I, Daniel, looked, and behold, there stood other two, the one on this side of the bank of the river, and the other on that side of the bank of the river. And one said to the man clothed in linen, which was upon